In the center of Manhattan, a 1959 Gibson Les Paul Sunburst sat gleaming in the front window of a famous vintage guitar shop. Its price tag read $850,000. That morning, when Ace Frehley walked in wearing well-worn clothes, the store owner gave him a quick, dismissive look. Unknown to anyone, Ozzy Osbourne was quietly seated in a corner, and within an hour, what began as an ordinary morning would become one of the most memorable stories of kindness in rock history. Ace Frehley, the iconic guitarist from Kiss, had spent the previous night at a friend's place, listening to old records until early morning. At sunrise, he decided to walk through Manhattan to clear his mind. As he passed the shop, the striking Les Paul in the window caught his eye. After decades of playing guitars around the world, this '59 Les Paul felt different. Not just an instrument, but a true masterpiece. Without hesitation, he stepped inside. Behind the glass counter stood Richard Castellano, dressed in a sharp suit. At 45, he had managed his family-owned shop for a decade. In those years, he believed he had developed an instinct for judging customers at first glance. When Ace entered, Castellano didn't bother to acknowledge him, continuing his paperwork for a wealthy collector who had visited earlier. Ace slowly moved toward the Les Paul on the wall. Next to it hung a small tag, 1959 Gibson Les Paul Standard, original Sunburst, $850,000, serious buyers only. He reached out and gently touched the neck of the guitar, feeling the grain under his fingertips, the familiar touch of someone who had lived with guitars for over 40 years. His approach was respectful and sincere. Castellano finally looked up and noticed Ace. His unpolished clothing, messy hair, and quiet presence led the shop owner to a quick conclusion. Another musician who came to admire instruments he could never purchase. With a sigh, Castellano stood and spoke in a firm, cool tone. "Sir, that guitar is for display only. Please avoid handling it. If you're interested, we have more affordable models in the back, in the $5,000 to $6,000 range." Ace turned, surprised but composed. Misjudgment was not new to him, though it never stopped stinging. He replied calmly, "I was just looking. It's a beautiful guitar. Haven't seen a '59 like this in a long time." Castellano crossed his arms, offering a polite-looking smile that carried a condescending edge. "Yes, it is beautiful, and extremely valuable. Judging by your appearance, this may not be the instrument you're looking for. You might want to check other shops. There are more budget-friendly places nearby." Ace considered responding, but decided against it. Arguing would solve nothing. He took a slow breath, nodded, and began walking toward the door. At that moment, in a quiet corner of the store where no one had paid attention, another figure sat observing. 72-year-old Ozzy Osbourne gently ran his fingers over an old Les Paul of his own. He had also decided to wander Manhattan that morning. Sharon often reminded him, "Ozzy, you're getting older. Stop roaming around so much." He never paid attention to those words. Thinking back to his early days, walking through the streets, stopping by old music stores, that always brought him calm. He had stepped into a vintage guitar shop by chance, quietly taking a seat in the corner, unnoticed by anyone. From there, he watched everything that happened between Castellano and Ace. His eyes narrowed, his jaw tensed. Each dismissive comment and cold look triggered something in Ozzy. He had faced the same prejudice growing up in Birmingham. In tough areas where no one believed in him, Ozzy slowly rose to his feet, set the guitar down gently, and walked toward the exit where Ace was about to leave. His voice was quiet but firm, carrying that familiar Birmingham tone. "Excuse me, mate. The gentleman who wanted to try that guitar, heading out already?" Ace paused, turned, and looked at him. At first, he didn't realize who he was speaking to, but then it clicked. His eyes widened. Standing there in a simple white shirt and black jeans was Ozzy Osbourne himself. No stage lights, no show clothes, yet the presence was unmistakable. Ace tried to speak. "Ozzy, Yeah, looks like this guitar is only for customers with deep pockets." Ozzy gave a small smile and turned toward Castellano. The shop owner froze immediately. He recognized Ozzy but had no idea how to react. Ozzy stepped closer to him. "Richard, right? Your name's on the sign outside," he continued, calm but direct. I grew up with nothing too. Birmingham. When I was 14, I saw a red Fender Stratocaster in a shop window. I dreamed about it for weeks. One day I finally went in. The owner took one look at me and said, "Kids like you aren't here to buy. Leave before you smudge the guitar." That moment taught me something I've kept with me forever. Judging people by how they look only shows your own ignorance. Castellano's face went red. He started sweating and tried to speak, but nothing came out. Ozzy continued, voice firmer now. "This gentleman is Ace Frehley. Maybe you don't know the name, but he's one of rock's most legendary guitarists, a founding member of Kiss, admired by millions. And you told him to look at cheaper models, why? Because he's not wearing a suit?" Castellano finally stuttered. "Mr. Osbourne, I apologize, I was just—" Ozzy raised his hand to stop him. "No, Richard, I don't need your apology. People like you never understood what rock and roll stands for. Rock and roll isn't about how someone looks. Passion. It isn't about money. It's about the voice that comes from inside. You sell high-priced guitars here, but you don't truly understand music." Ozzy stopped looking at Castellano and turned toward Ace. That familiar, playful spark had returned to his eyes, a small grin forming. "Hey, Ace, should we test out that guitar? I'm curious. Is that 59 model actually as great as they say, or is it just the price that makes it special?" Ace laughed in shock, still trying to grasp what was happening. "Ozzy, are you serious?" Ozzy shrugged casually in that usual Ozzy manner. "Of course. I'm serious all the time. If I said that to Sharon, she'd laugh, but anyway, come on. Let's get that Les Paul down. Richard, you don't mind, right?" Castellano hurried to the wall, lifted the guitar with shaky hands, and offered it to Ace. His hands trembled so much he nearly dropped it. "Of course, Mr. Frehley, please go ahead. Take as much time as you need." When Ace held the guitar, everything seemed to slow. He felt its weight, the shape of the neck, how naturally it sat in his hand. He placed his fingers on the strings and softly strummed a few chords. The sound was pure, deep, and warm. With 40 years of experience, he sensed every note, every tone, every subtle detail. He closed his eyes and let a melody rise from within. Playing the opening riff of Deuce, that familiar, powerful Kiss rhythm filled the shop. Ozzy stood behind him, arms folded, observing quietly, nodding along to the beat. At one moment, he tapped Ace's shoulder gently and whispered, "Listen, mate. Hear that sound? It tells a story. Every note carries 50 years of soul. This is why I love this world. Music connects people, ages, backgrounds, class, money. None of it matters here." Ace stopped playing, opened his eyes, and looked at Ozzy. Gratitude showed in his voice. "Ozzy, I don't know what to say. Thank you. You saw how he spoke to me and you stood up." Ozzy waved it off lightly. "Come on, mate." "I just said what was true." "But tell me, are you buying this guitar? Because I'm thinking about it, and both of us wanting the same one could get a bit awkward, right?" Ace laughed, surprised. "You're going to buy it?" "Ozzy, first, you don't even play guitar. Second, it's $850,000. Ozzy lifted his eyebrows with that same playful look. "Answer to your first point. I know people who play. As for the second, if I don't, tell Sharon. She won't even notice." Castellano had been sweating heavily while listening to this exchange between two legends. He understood he had just made the biggest mistake of his life. Not only had he lost a possible sale, but he had also embarrassed himself in front of two rock icons. Gathering his courage, he finally spoke, his voice shaky. "Mr. Osbourne, Mr. Frehley, I'm sincerely sorry. I behaved poorly. I accept that. If you still want to buy this guitar, I can offer you a 20% discount. It would be my apology." Ozzy slowly turned toward him, his face unreadable. For a few seconds, he simply stared into Castellano's eyes. Then he spoke, calm but firm. "Richard, I don't want a discount. I always pay. I pay full price. But I want to make an agreement with you. I will buy this guitar, on one condition." Castellano immediately leaned forward, hope returning. "Anything you ask, Mr. Osbourne, I'll do it." Ozzy continued with a slight smile. "From now on, whoever walks into this store, you treat them with respect. Whether they're a millionaire in a suit or a young street musician in worn clothes, you never know who someone will become. Maybe that kid will someday be wealthy enough to buy your entire store. Or maybe they just love music. Either way, they deserve respect. Do we agree?" Castellano nodded quickly, eyes filling. Agreed. I promise I won't behave like that again. Ozzy tapped Ace on the shoulder lightly. Ace, let's buy this guitar together. Half each, but it's not staying with us. Ace looked confused. Not staying? Then where is it going? A familiar, playful grin appeared on Ozzy's face. We're going outside. We'll find a young musician, someone playing in the subway or in a park, and we'll give them this guitar. Ace's jaw dropped. Wait, we're giving an $850,000 guitar to a street musician? Ozzy, are you serious? Ozzy chuckled. Ace, I've bought enough guitars in my life and spent enough money. But real happiness comes when you give something to someone, especially someone who needs it. Instead of this guitar sitting here on display, let it be played by a young person chasing their dreams. Maybe they'll become like us someday. Maybe not, but at least we give them a chance. Ace stared at Ozzy for a long moment. Something shifted inside him, a sense of purpose. Then he smiled and nodded. All right, let's do it. It sounds crazy, but it feels right. We're both in our 70s now. Helping others brings more meaning. Castellano hurried to prepare the register, still trembling. The two legends paid for the guitar. Ace $425,000. Ozzy $425,000. As Castellano handed over the receipt, he apologized again. Mr. Osbourne, Mr. Frehley, you're always welcome here. Please forgive me. Ozzy accepted the receipt and looked at him with a small, calm smile. Richard, everyone makes mistakes. What matters is learning from them. I hope you have. They left the shop. Ace carried the guitar in its case. Manhattan's afternoon sun was bright. Ozzy looked around, squinting. Now we find a young musician. Let's go to Times Square. Talented kids are always there. They started walking. Two legends moving through the crowd unnoticed. Ace glanced at Ozzy curiously. Ozzy, can I ask something? Why do this? I mean, I know you have money, but giving $425,000 to someone on the street? Ozzy stopped, took a deep breath, and looked out thoughtfully. His tone was quieter, deeper. Ace, when I was young, I had nothing. At 14, I heard the Beatles' She Loves You, and everything changed. I said, that's it. I'm going to do this too. I posted a note in a music shop. Ozzy Zig needs gig, own PA. Then I met Tony Iommi. We formed Black Sabbath and toured the world, but now I'm in a different place. I can give back. Today we're giving a young person that same chance. Maybe one day when they succeed, they'll help someone else too. That's how the circle continues. When they reached Times Square, the scene was overwhelming. Tourists everywhere, vendors calling out, street performers in every direction, giant screens glowing, lights flashing, music from different corners blending into the noise. Ozzy and Ace walked slowly, ears alert. On one corner, an 18-year-old young man played guitar. His name was Marcus. He wore a black t-shirt and ripped jeans. In front of him, his open guitar case held a few dollars and coins. He played an old worn Fender Stratocaster, but the sound was pure and heartfelt. The song was Stairway to Heaven by Led Zeppelin. His fingers moved fast yet gentle, each note filled with emotion. Ozzy and Ace stopped and listened quietly. People kept walking by, most not paying attention. When the song ended, Ozzy clapped loudly. Bravo, mate! You played beautifully. Marcus looked up, surprised. He didn't recognize them, but smiled with respect. Thank you, sir. Ozzy stepped forward and shook his hand. What's your name, young man? Marcus answered, Marcus Williams, sir. Ozzy nodded. Marcus, how long have you been playing guitar? 6 years, Marcus replied. Started at 12. My dad taught me, but he passed 2 years ago. Now I play here to save money for school. Ozzy looked at Ace. They knew immediately. They had found the right person. Ozzy spoke softly. Marcus, today is your lucky day. You don't realize it yet, but it is. This man here is Ace Frehley. You know him from Kiss, right? Marcus's eyes widened in shock. From Kiss? You're Ace Frehley? Ace smiled. Yes, and this is Ozzy Osbourne. Marcus froze, speechless. Ozzy Osbourne. Black Sabbath? Ozzy nodded. That's right, mate. And we have something for you. Ace placed the guitar case in front of Marcus and opened it. Inside was a stunning 1959 Gibson Les Paul Sunburst, shining in the light. Marcus stared at it, then at them, speechless. Tears began forming. Is this real? This can't be real. Ozzy gently handed him the guitar. It's real. It's yours. No payment, no conditions. Only one request, play it. Get on big stages. Follow your dreams. And when your time comes, help another young musician. Marcus held the guitar with shaking hands, tears falling freely. I don't even know how to thank you. This changes everything. You're like angels. Ozzy laughed in his usual way. Angel? They've called me the devil my whole life. Crazy, wild, sure. Angel, that's new. Sharon would faint hearing that. Ace laughed too, patting Marcus's shoulder. Just play well. And remember, music isn't about money. It's about making people feel something. Never forget that, Marcus nodded, still stunned. A crowd had gathered, phones up, taking pictures. But Ozzy and Ace didn't care. What mattered was the joy on that young musician's face. They never talked about that day again. No interviews, no posts, no publicity. They didn't even know what became of Marcus. But that didn't matter. Real kindness doesn't look for praise. It simply acts and moves on. That evening, when they returned home, a quiet peace filled them. Ozzy just told Sharon, "Had a good day." Ace picked up his guitar and played for hours, almost as if giving that gift had given something back to him too. Because sometimes offering someone hope heals your own spirit as well.